The International Court of Justice orders Israel to take all measures to prevent genocide in Gaza. But what was Israel's reaction to the ruling? We'll find out more about that later on. A Russian court jailed a woman for 27 years over the killing of pro-war blogger Vladlen Tatarsky. Australia marked its national holiday with thousands protesting against its celebration. And award-winning novelist admits using ChatGPT for her new book. These and more for Newsline World. A Russian anti-war activist accused of the murder of a pro-war blogger will spend 27 years of her life behind bars after a court in Russia found her guilty of the deadly attack. Carlo de la Peña reports.
A Russian court handed a 27-year prison sentence to Daria Tropova after she was found guilty of assassinating pro-war blogger Vladlen Tatarsky. She was charged under 3 articles of the Russian Criminal Code, including terrorism, illegal trafficking of explosives, and using a forged document.
Суд приговорил Трепову к наказанию в виде 27 лет лишения свободы с отбыванием наказания в исправительной колонии общего режима, со штрафом в размере 600 тысяч рублей, а также с ограничением свободы сроком на 2 года, который она будет отбывать после отбытия основного наказания. Касинцеву назначено наказание в виде лишения свободы сроком на 1 год 9 месяцев с отбыванием наказания в исправительной колонии общего режима.
Russian media reports say that Tropova's sentence is the longest prison term for a woman in modern Russian history, with life imprisonment reserved exclusively for male convicts. Meanwhile, Vladlen Tatarsky, whose real name is Maxim Fomin, was a military blogger known for his fervent pro-war stance and occasional critic of Russian battlefield shortcomings. He gained popularity on Telegram for supporting the mercenary group Wagner, the war in Ukraine, and advocating for a tougher stance. Tatarsky created his channel in 2019, named after a character from Viktor Pelevin's novel, and had military experience in eastern Ukraine in 2014. On April 2, 2023, Tropova attended an event in a St. Petersburg cafe where Tatarsky was speaking and presented him with a statuette that concealed explosives. The statuette exploded, killing him and injuring 52 others. The following day, Tropova was detained on suspicion of involvement in the explosion. Tropova maintained her ignorance regarding the explosives inside the statuette, although she pleaded guilty to forging documents relating to the said act. At a court hearing in April last year, Tropova said she deeply regretted what happened at the cafe and that she had also survived the blast by accident. Meanwhile, her spouse, Dmitry Rylov, insists that she was framed, as reported by an independent Russian publication. Tropova's lawyer Daniil Berman said that the court had no grounds for such a sentence and noted that the defense plans to appeal it.
Процесс сегодня завершился известным уже результатом. Предположу, что мы этот приговор, конечно же, обжалуем. Поскольку считаем его незаконным, необоснованным. Скажем так, со всех сторон, поскольку, наверное, это самый жестокий приговор в отношении женщины в России за всю историю современного правосудия. На мой взгляд, для этого не было никаких оснований, даже если гипотетически предположить, что Дарья виновна в том, в чем ее обвиняют. Хотя мы
A second defendant, Dmitry Kasintsev, who's believed to be Tropova's accomplice, was sentenced to 1 year and 9 months imprisonment in a general regime penal colony. The Russian Investigative Committee is also investigating Ukrainian citizen Yuri Denisov, journalist Roman Povkov, currently believed to be living in Ukraine, and other persons of interest. Reporting, this has been Carlo de la Peña, SMNI News.
The death toll from the civil war in Sudan has now exceeded 13,000 in the past 9 months. Grata Romori reports.
Latest data from the United Nations Humanitarian Office showed the grim reality of the ongoing fighting in war-torn Sudan. Tensions in the Middle East overshadowed another conflict in the African continent, no other than the civil war in Sudan. The ongoing fighting between the Sudanese Armed Forces and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, which started on April 15, 2023, has killed more than 13,000 people and injured 26,000 others. The conflict has been concentrated around the capital city of Khartoum and the Darfur region, but has since expanded to nearby towns and cities in recent months. In the wake of the raging conflict in Sudan, the UAE was accused of supporting the catastrophic civil war by sending weapons to the Rapid Support Forces. The UAE denied the claim, and some of its representatives pointed out it has provided millions of dollars in humanitarian and relief aid since the start of the war. The African Union, a bloc of 55 member states within the African continent, announced it will deploy a team to hold peace talks aimed at ending the conflict in Sudan. Reporting from Dubai, this has been Gratero Omori, SMNI News, United Arab Emirates.
Australia marked its annual national holiday with thousands of protesters participating in rallies in support of Indigenous Australians and calls to either abolish the celebrations for good or change the date. Jillian Libret reports.
What was supposed to be a day of celebration for the founding of Australia was marked with nationwide rallies. The annual celebration became a subject of heated debate about whether to call it Australia Day or Invasion Day. For most Australians, January 26 commemorates the arrival of the First Fleet at Sydney Cove in 1788. The arrival of the European settlers marked the beginning of British sovereignty over the indigenous Torres Strait Islander and Aboriginal peoples. It became officially known as Australia Day in 1935, but was not declared a public holiday until 1994. Typical Australian families celebrate the national holiday with barbecues and beach trips. However, for First Nations people, January 26 marked the beginning of British colonisation. Most Indigenous Australians consider Australia Day not a day of celebration, but instead of a mourning as it paved the way for the oppression of their ancestors. On Friday, January 26, thousands joined the rallies in major cities with calls to abolish the celebration for good or at least change the date. Protesters called for a day of mourning to be officially declared across Australia and to change the date of the annual holiday to something that celebrates the diversity of the Australian population. Supporters of Palestine joined protesters from diverse community groups. Palestinian flags were seen waving side by side with those of Indigenous Australians in so-called Invasion Day rallies on Friday. As the national holiday stirred debate and divided public opinion, results of the recent polls showed most Australians still support celebrating Australia Day on January 26, with 63% in favour of it, while only 17% opposed. Reporting from New South Wales, this has been Jillian Libowit, SMNI News, Australia.
Colombia is burning and its government has declared an international disaster as wildfires continue to rage across the country. Natalia Prado reports.
Wildfires continue to rage across Colombia, although its firefighters and volunteers had already put out 204 fires this January alone. Some parts of the country continue to burn. Colombian President Gustavo Petro has declared a state of disaster as wildfires ravage the country, warning that the conditions could still get worse. He also declared a situation of disaster and calamity and is asking for international assistance. Chile, United States, Peru, and Canada have responded to the call, requested aid from the United Nations and the European Union. The wildfires, now numbering 31, with only 9 under control, at least 138 flights were also affected. The climate disaster prompted the government to redirect funds, which were previously approved for other purposes. No mandatory evacuations have been ordered, but about half of the country's municipalities are on high alert. Colombian officials said the fires are due to the hot and dry weather attributed to the El Niño, and the situation is expected to deteriorate in the coming weeks. Reportando, eu sou Natália Prado, SMNI News.
Finns will return to the polling stations on Sunday to select their new president. The presidential race will take place at a time when Finland entered a new chapter in its foreign policy, marked by joining the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or NATO. Jayne Codnita reports.
Finland's new president will lead the country under a 6-year term. The president of Finland is tasked to lead foreign and security policy, acts as a commander-in-chief of the Finnish Defense Forces, appoints and discharges ministers and some higher-ranking civil servants, as well as represent the country during NATO meetings. Almost 1.9 million Finns, representing about 44% of eligible voters, have cast their ballots in advance. Finland could hold a second round of elections on Sunday, February 11, 2024, if a new president will not be declared after January 28. Finland, together with its Nordic neighbor Sweden, applied to join NATO on May 18, 2022 and was formally declared its 31st member on April 4, 2023. Reporting from Sweden, this has been Jayne Codnita, SMNI News.
The world could welcome its first trillionaire within a decade, but it would take a few more centuries before poverty will be eradicated. Trisha Molina reports.
The number of the super wealthy has increased in recent years. A recent report on global inequality by Oxfam International revealed that the growing disparity between the super rich and the rest of the population has been more evident since the COVID-19 pandemic. While the rest of the world was reeling from the global pandemic, the fortunes of the 5 richest men in the world soared higher at 114%. These billionaires include Tesla CEO Elon Musk, Amazon founder Jeff Bezos, Bernard Arnault and his family of luxury company LVMH, Oracle founder Larry Ellison, and American businessman Warren Buffett. This means their wealth grew 3 times faster than global inflation in the last 3 years, according to the study. But as the super wealthy became wealthier, almost 5 billion people have been made poorer around the same time due to the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, war, and inflation. The same study showed poverty won't be eradicated for another 229 years, as the report presented a growing disparity between the rich and the poor and sparked calls to address income inequality. Reporting for Newsline World, Trisha Molina, SMNI News.
More news when Newsline World returns.
Sa tingin mo, karapat-dapat ba na magmaneho ang isang driver na mainitin ang ulo? Sang-ayon ka ba na dumaan muna sa psychological test ang isang driver bago mabigyan ng lisensya? Abangan ka partners ang talakayan hinggil dito sa January 27 episode ng programang Mga Doktor ng Bayan. Tumutok at matuto sa usaping pangkalusugan dito lang sa SMNI.
This Saturday, tuloy-tuloy pa rin ang tapat at totoong serbisyo publiko. Sabay-sabay nating alamin ang kwento ng tagumpay ng isang babaeng kinikilala pagdating sa larangan ng architecture and interior designing. Kilalanin natin ang Pinoy pride na si Architect Maria Angelica Minet Fajardo. Good news din ba ang hanap nyo patungkol sa maritime industry ng Pilipinas? We got you dahil makakasama natin ang dating Executive Director ng STCW Office ng Maritime Industry Authority o Marina, Vice Admiral Rene Medina. Silipin din ang mga panalong trabaho na pwede ninyong applyan. Samahan natin sa paghahatid ng swak na available job opportunities si OFW Party List Chairman Kuya Raymond Adriano. Panoorin din ang pagbuhos ng tulong panghanap buhay sa halos 1,500 tupad beneficiaries mula NCR at Rizal at ang pamimigay ng tulong pinansyal sa halos 700 beneficiaries mula Oriental Mindoro hatid ng inyong OFW Party List. Tayo na't makisaya kasama ang 100 ng TESDA scholars mula Iloilo at Metro Manila sa kanilang maligayang pagtatapos at ang 100 benepisyaryo mula sa Nueva Ecija, Pasay at Maynila ng Sustainable Livelihood Program handog ni Congresswoman Marisa Del Mar Magsino. Tunghayan din ang mga kaganapan sa pagbisita ni Congresswoman Marisa Del Mar Magsino sa Embahada ng Pilipinas sa Jakarta, Indonesia kasama si Ambassador Gina Hamoralin. Sabay-sabay din nating panoorin ang pag-arangkada ng Passport on Wheels para sa halos 1,000 kababayan natin sa Batangas at silipin ang pagkilala bilang Ambassador ng Sunful Philippine House of Representatives, ang champion ng OFW sa buong mundo, ang nag-iisang OFW Party List Representative, Congresswoman Marisa Del Mar Magsino. Abangan ang lahat ng yan ngayong Sabado, 5 to 6 p.m. Kasama pa rin ang boses at kakampi ng OFWs at bawat Pilipino. OFW Party List Representative, Congresswoman Marisa Del Mar Magsino. Sa OFW, ikaw ang bida. Dito lang sa SMNI.
What are the most pressing issues in the country today? And how have these issues changed the political landscape?
The things that are happening now are completely unexpected. With the latest pronouncement of the President that we will not cooperate with the ICC, will the Speaker again defy the President? Well, what is clear is we're not sure who's really in charge. But you see, they imposed a 30-day preventive suspension without hearing even the side of SMNI.
Right.
What's there to be corrected, for crying out loud?
Learn more from Attorney Harry Roque, former presidential spokesperson under the Duterte administration. Watch Business and Politics with Dante Kling Ang II tomorrow at 7 p.m. only here on SMNI.
Alam mo ba kung ano ang cha-cha o charter change?
Wala po akong idea kasi hindi ako masyado nagsistay dito sa Pinas.
Wala po kasi masyadong information kasi tungkol diyan.
Di po ako masyadong familiar kung paano po siya nag-work, pero naririnig ko na po siya.
Wala talagang idea regarding sa charges change.
Hindi ako sure po.
Ang pag-intindi ko sa charter change, pira yan.
Ako talaga hindi ko pa lubos talaga na maiintindihan yan.
Wala talaga akong idea kung ano talaga ibig sabihin ng cha-cha talaga.
Kung ano mas nakakabuti, siyempre yun ang dapat baguhin.
Hindi ko alam yung kahulugan ng charter change.
Mas maganda kung binabago para mapalitan yung ibang walang kabuluhan.
Charter change, hindi ba yung sa tungkol sa DNR yun?
Yung charter change, yun yung pagbabago ng saligang batas, no? Yung Philippine Constitution ng 1987 ba yan? Oo.
Ano nga ba ang dahilan bakit matunog ang charter change o ang pagbabago ng konstitusyon ng bansa? Ano nga ba ang ibig sabihin nito? Ang cha-cha ay ang legal na proseso para baguhin ang kasalukuyang 1987 Constitution na umiiral sa bansa. Maaaring isagawa ito sa 3 pamamaraan: ang People's Initiative, Constituent Assembly, at ang Constitutional Convention. Isa-isahin natin ito. Ay ang People's Initiative na sadyang matunog ngayon dahil sa mga kumakalat na isyu tungkol dito. Ang proseso ng pagsasagawa ng People's Initiative ay nakasaad sa Republic Act 6735 o ang Initiative and Referendum Act. Batay dito, ang publiko ay maaaring mag-propose ng mga pagbabago sa konstitusyon sa pamamagitan ng pagkakaroon ng petisyon na pinirmahan ng aabot sa 12% ng kabuang bilang ng mga rehistradong botante. Ang bawat distrito rin ay kinakailangang mairepresenta ng 3% ng rehistradong botante. Mahaba ang prosesong ito at sinasabing magastos dahil sa mga kinakailangang isagawa para makuha ang kinakailangang bilang ng pirma. dadaan pa rin ito sa beripikasyon ng Commission on Elections o COMELEC. Kung makuha na ang kinakailangang bilang ng pirma at matapos na mailathala ng 2 beses sa mga pahayagan, ang lahat ng botante sa bansa ay magsasagawa ng referendum at magdedesisyon kung aaprubahan ba o hindi ang nasabing pagbabago sa konstitusyon. Kinakailangan ay sumang-ayon ang publiko para maisakatuparan ito. Magiging epektibo ito 15 araw matapos na mailathala sa Official Gazette o pahayagan ng kadalasang binabasa ng publiko o General Circulation. Ang Constituent Assembly naman ay binubuo ng lahat ng mga miyembro ng Bicameral Congress ng Pilipinas. Ito ay ang Senado at House of Representatives. Sa ilalim ng Article 17 ng 1987 Constitution, ang mga pagbabago ay aaprubahan sa pamamagitan ng boto ng 3/4 ng lahat ng mga miyembro ng Kongreso. Ang mababa at mataas na kapulungan ng Kongreso ay bumoboto ng magkahiwalay para sa mga pagbabago. Sa Constitutional Convention, ang mamamayan naman ang boboto sa mga uupo para aralin at baguhin ang saligang batas. Mayroon ng 5 Constitutional Convention na ginawa sa bansa. Nariyan ang Malolos Congress, Philippine Constitutional Convention of 1934, Preparatory Committee for Philippine Independence, Philippine Constitutional Convention of 1971, at Philippine Constitutional Commission na itinalaga noong 1986. Sa ilalim ng charter change, maaring ipanukala ang amendment o revision sa saligang batas. Mukhang pareho pero magkaiba ang dalawang ito. Ang amendments ay yung mga pagbabago sa ilang probisyon ng konstitusyon nang hindi iniiba ang istruktura nito, habang ang revision naman ay tumutukoy sa posibleng pagsulat muli ng buong konstitusyon. Ay ilan lamang sa mga pangunahing konsepto na dapat nating malaman kaugnay sa pagbabago ng ating konstitusyon. Kaya ano ba sa tingin ninyo ang pinaka-epektibong paraan? At ano rin ba ang gusto ninyong baguhin sa ating saligang batas? Panahon na nga ba upang baguhin ito? Hihintayin po namin ang inyong mga tugon. Patuloy po naming pakikinggan ang inyong mga boses, mga kababayan, dito lamang sa SMNI. Para sa Diyos at sa Pilipinas nating mahal.
Back to our news, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. is set to embark on a state visit to Vietnam next week. The visit is expected to cover topics such as food security, trade cooperation, maritime collaboration, and more. Alisa Torres reports.
President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. will undertake a state visit to Vietnam from January 29 to 30, as announced by Department of Foreign Affairs spokesperson Undersecretary Maria Teresa Daza during a press briefing at Malacanang. The visit comes in response to an invitation from Vietnamese President Vo Van Thuong. This will be PBBM's first visit to Vietnam since assuming office in 2022 and the first outbound state visit for the year. Accompanying the chief executive will be his key cabinet members, including the Secretary of Foreign Affairs and members of his economic team.
During the visit, the President will meet with leaders of Vietnam, namely President Thong, His Excellency Pham Minh Chinh, Prime Minister of Vietnam, and His Excellency Vuong Dun Huy, Chairman of the National Assembly of Vietnam.
In the same briefing, Foreign Affairs Assistant Secretary Eileen Mendiola Rao of the DFA's Office of the Asian and Pacific Affairs, or ASPAC, stated that the state visit aligns with the President's commitment to ensuring food security in the Philippines. There will be an in-depth discussions on agricultural cooperation between the two countries. ASEC Mendiola Rao mentioned that Vietnam has long been a partner of the Philippines, pledging support for our country's rice requirements.
The Department of Agriculture and their counterpart in Vietnam is working on an agreement that will ensure the continued supply of rice to the Philippines. They are setting some targets, but more details on that will come soon once we finish the negotiations on the rice deal.
In a short while.
The president will also engage with the business sector to promote economic and investment ties between the Philippines and Vietnam. Talks will include matters concerning the maritime sector, with an agreement on how the coast guards of both nations can collaborate. ASEC Manjalo Rao further revealed that the Philippines and Vietnam have deep cooperation in various fields, including defense and security, as well as people-to-people relations.
And we have selected Vietnam as the country because our relations with Vietnam have spanned for almost 50 years with the establishment of bilateral relations in 1976.
The Philippines and Vietnam aim to strengthen bilateral trade to reach $10 billion in the coming years. As anticipated, the president will also meet with the Filipino community, highlighting the friendship between the Philippines and Vietnam. About 7,000 Filipinos work and reside in Vietnam, most of whom are professionals. For God and my beloved Philippines, this has been Alisa Torres, SMNI News.
Turkey and Iran signed billions of dollars worth in trade agreement after the presidents of both countries met for their annual high-level cooperation council meeting. Melchizedek Cadiz reports.
Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan welcomed Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi as he arrived in Ankara for a diplomatic visit. Raisi arrived in the Turkish capital earlier this week to attend the yearly Iran-Turkey High-Level Cooperation Council. The Iranian leader announced that Iran and Turkey have set a goal to boost their bilateral trade to $30 billion annually. The ongoing war in Gaza was also one of the main agenda of the meeting, wherein both leaders cited the importance of regional stability and continuing cooperation against cross-border threats. Erdogan and Raisi also showed support for Palestinians amid rising tensions in the Middle East. Before leaving Tehran, the Iranian president blamed the U.S. and its Western allies for supporting Israel in its failure to stop the bombardments of Gaza. Established in 2014, the diplomatic meeting aims to strengthen the bilateral relations of both countries based on international law. Reporting, this has been Melchizedek Cadiz, SMNI News, Kuwait.
The workers of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ, or KOJC, protested against the committee hearing led by Senator Risa Ontiveros regarding alleged abuses within the congregation headed by Pastor Apollo Sikibuloy. Angel Pastor reports.
Bakbakan to. The workers of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ, or KOJC, protested against the committee hearing led by Senator Risa Ontiveros regarding alleged abuses within the congregation headed by Pastor Apollo Sikibuloy. During the said hearing, the senator presented to the public witnesses who covered their faces and used aliases. But despite efforts to hide their identities, they could still be easily recognized by KOJC members. They said Ontiveros' witnesses are former KOJC workers who left the congregation due to their terrible track records, making the hearing unfair for Pastor Apollo. They lodged their protest on social media where they said the good pastor's reputation was tarnished, adding it was obvious that what Ontiveros did was trial by publicity. Among them is Carlo Catiil, one of the KOJC's ministers.
Anong sinabi namin dyan? We dare you. Kung totoo na matibay yung ebidensya mo, kasi sabi mo, may pang-aabuso talaga based sa aking mga witnesses, meron talaga kaming ebidensya. So ano po ang susunod niyan? Tinuruan pa kayo ng aming malapasan, anong susunod na gawin? Go to court, file appropriate charges. Yung mga statement na ginawa kahapon, mapatali na lang yun. Papirmahan nyo na lang, make a formal affidavit, then file complaint doon sa korte. Kasi po, mga kababayan, ang mag-determine kung inosente at guilty ang isang akusado, hindi po dyan sa hearing mo, madam. Hindi po dyan sa hearing mo, kagalang-galang, honorable na senador. Hindi po dyan sa hearing mo.
For Kathy Leonor and Diane Hortaleza, members of the KOJC Pastoral Care Department, if the senator is truly an advocate for women and children's rights, she should help the said witnesses prove their allegations in court.
Well, for one, Brother Carlo ang pinapromote niya, sabi niya, women empowerment. Ano pala kami dito? Di kami babae? Ha?
Baka
Women
akala niya bakla
empowerment
tayo.
man kaya.
It's a matter of credibility kasi ang usapan.
Yes.
Ngayon, ang ginagawa nila, pinapahiya nila ang mahal nating pastor, ang bansang kaharian. Yan ang purpose kung bakit sa Senate niya dinala. Bakit?
Yes.
Kasi lahat control niya dun eh. Oh, bakit hindi mo dinala sa korte ngayon? Kasi wala kang control doon. Talawan.
They argue that a fair treatment will be given to both the claimant and the defendant in court as it is an evidence-based forum.
You being as a senator and champion empowering the women and the children, kasi yun ang advokasya mo, tulungan niyo po sila. Kasuhan po si Pastor Apollo C. Kibuloy. Igada niyo po yung mga ebidensya, no? Doon po kayo magsampa ng kaso. May mga lawyers po kayo dyan, mga gagaling, di ba? Doon po, file a complaint, a formal
Kung totoong
complaint.
concern siya sa mga biktima, kuno.
And doon po kayo sasagutin namin. Doon
Be fair.
po Pastor. Kasi doon sa korte, pantay-pantay yan.
Meanwhile, Loren Santos, another KOJC worker, also questioned the said hearing.
Tama po ba na ang Senado ang mag-iimbestiga ng mga kaso kuno ngayon ni Pastor Kibuloy? Ang Senado na po ba ang magbibigay ng verdict ng guilty or not guilty si Pastor? Trabaho na po ba ng Senado ang mag-imbestiga at maglitis ng mga kasong katulad nito?
Santos added that it's not wise to get witnesses who have no credibility as it only shows that her office in the Senate is also without credibility. Take for example, alias Amanda's case against Pastor Apollo was dismissed a long time ago as she had insufficient evidence. Despite this, the senator still took her as a witness.
Bakit hindi mo chinek muna yung about dun sa dismiss case nitong Amanda na witness mo? Bakit mo pinulit ulit yung basurahan? Nabasura naman yan eh, noon pa. Ngayon kinain mo ulit. Tapos gusto mo ipakain na naman sa buong publiko. Alam mo, dapat hindi lang kingdom citizen ang umalman nito eh. Buong bansang Pilipinas, bawat Pilipino umalsa na dito eh. Kasi walang credibility ditong sorry to say ha, madam, pero for me, you don't have credibility.
It's possible that there was a failure to conduct character checks on the said witnesses, including Arlene Camino Stone.
Now, tanong lang po, inusisa niyo po bang maigi ang witness ninyo, Madam? For the sake of fairness, nag-character check po ba kayo dyan sa witness ninyong si Arlene Stone? Ano ang reason niya? Bakit siya nagkakalat ngayon ng ganitong accusations? Kung totoong gusto niyo ng hustisya at katotohanan, hindi ba dapat careful kayo na i-check din ang side ng inaakusahan? Dahil maaring may mas malalim at relevant na dahilan kung bakit siya inaakusahan ngayon.
Meanwhile, in a statement, Pastor Apollo challenged the senator to help the said witnesses in filing a case in court where the good pastor can be given a fair trial. For God and my beloved Philippines, Angel Pastor, SMNI News.
Newsline World will be back after the break.
Pag nakakakita ko ng salapi, nakikita ko ang isang biyaya na nararapat gamitin at palaguin. Pagkasama ko ang aking mga empleyado at manggagawa, nakikita ko ang ugnayan namin tungo sa tagumpay. Pag nakakakita ko ng daan, nakikita ko ang landas na karapat-dapat tahakin maging ang mga sangandaan nito na dapat harapin. Pag nararamdaman ko ang pag-unlad, nakikita ko ang hamon na mararamdaman ito ng lahat. Pag nakakakita ko ng papausbong na panimula, nag-aalab ang damdamin kong tulungan silang mas lumaki at lumago ng tuluyan. Ramdam ko ang kanilang pangarap. Kaisa ako ng kanilang pagsisikap. Kasama ako sa kanilang pagpupunyagi. Panahon na para sa isang revolusyon, ang Entrepinoy Revolution. Dito sa SMNI. Nandito na ang mabuting balita ng negosyo para sa isang natatanging Entrepinoy Revolution. Kasama ang inyong Entrepinoy Guru, Dr. Carl Balita. Tara, ating paikutin, palaguin at pagyamanin ang negosyo mo. Dito lang sa Entrepinoy Revolution.
Magandang umaga Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao. Maayong buntag mga kapartner. Magandang araw sa buong mundo.
Magandang araw Pilipinas. Ito ang Pulso ng Bayan.
Hihimayin ang mga pangunahing issue sa ating bayan. Susuriin ang mga kinakailangang malaman ng taong bayan. Aalamin ang pulso ng bawat Pilipino sa mga pangyayari sa ating lipunan. Pulso ng Bayan, alas 7 hanggang alas 9 ng umaga, tuwing Lunes hanggang Biyernes. Kasama ang spokes ng Bayan, Attorney Harry Roque, Admar Villardo at Jade Calabroso. Dito lang sa SMNI.
What are the most pressing issues in the country today? And how have these issues changed the political landscape?
The things that are happening now are completely unexpected. With the latest pronouncement of the President that we will not cooperate with the ICC, will the Speaker again defy the President? Well, what is clear is we're not sure who's really in charge. But you see, they imposed a 30-day preventive suspension without hearing even the side of SMNI.
Right.
What's there to be corrected, for crying out loud?
Learn more from Attorney Harry Roque, former presidential spokesperson under the Duterte administration. Watch Business and Politics with Dante Kling Ang II tomorrow at 7 p.m. only here on SMNI.
Problema nyo, itawag kay Panelo. Ikaw ba'y may suliranin na may kinalaman sa mga ahensya ng ating pamahalaan? Inihahandog ng SMNI ang programang makakapiling ninyo sa araw-araw na maaari ninyong maging daingan. Tampok ang dating Chief Legal Counsel ng nakaraang Pangulo, ang veteranong abogado na si Attorney Salvador Sal Panelo.
Bishops.
Tulong at payo tagapamagitan sa ating mga lingkod bayan. Problema nyo, itawag kay Panelo. Lunes hanggang Biyernes, alas 9 hanggang alas 10 ng umaga. Dito lamang sa SMNI. Ang totoong boses ng bayan.
Мы убеждены, по крайней мере, Российская Федерация И со схожих позиций выступают и представители Турции, и представители Ирана, что основной причиной сохраняющейся нестабильности в Сирии это незаконное американское военное присутствие.
This was the statement of Russian Presidential Special Envoy for Syria Alexander Lavrentiev at a press conference on Thursday following the 21st Astana format talks on Syria in the capital. Lavrentiev noted the warm relations between the guarantor states participating in the Astana format, Russia, Turkey and Iran, adding that it allowed to have discussions and find mutually acceptable compromise solutions. In turn, Syrian Deputy Foreign Minister Bassam Sabah emphasized that the government was ready for dialogue with the Kurdish Autonomous Region authorities.
نحن في إطار اللجنة الدستورية لجنة مناقشة الدستور في جنيف يتم هناك حوار سوري بملكية سورية الأمم المتحدة تيسره. نحن في دمشق منفتحون على إجراء هذا الحوار مع السوريين.
Earlier, Kazakhstan's Deputy Foreign Minister Alibek Bakayev delivered the joint statement agreed by representatives of Iran, Russia and Turkey at the 21st Astana format talks plenary session. The diplomat said that the parties discussed the situation in the northeast of the Syrian Arab Republic and agreed that constant security and stability in this region can only be achieved on the basis of preserving the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the country, adding that they rejected all attempts to create new realities on the ground, including illegitimate self-rule initiatives under the pretext of combating terrorism. The 21st round of Astana format negotiations on resolving the conflict in Syria began in the capital of Kazakhstan on Wednesday. Delegations from Russia, Turkey, Iran, the Syrian government and the Syrian opposition took part, which representatives from Jordan, Iraq, Lebanon, the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees and the International Committee of the Red Cross participating as observers. To note, the U.S. intervened in Syria to fight Islamic State in 2014, along with 80 partner countries under former President Barack Obama. The Syrian government has repeatedly demanded the withdrawal of the U.S. contingent.
I'm Senator Dick Black and I'm a retired.
Meanwhile, it can be remembered that in March 2021, former head of the Criminal Law Division at the Pentagon and former Virginia Senator Richard Black said during a conference that the United States drew up plans to destabilize and overthrow Syria long before any demonstrations had ever occurred in Syria.
The American March of Conquest spans the globe. We've invaded sovereign nations like Serbia, Yemen, and Syria, leaving them all in smoldering ruins. We're told that we're fighting a war on terror, but we're not. We're closely allied with terrorists like Al-Qaeda in an endless quest to destroy Arab civilizations throughout the Middle East. Few Americans can even name all of our wars. Serbia, Iraq, Libya, Syria, Yemen, Somalia, Ukraine. None of them attacked us. We attacked all of them. Just look at the case of Syria. In 2006, the U.S. Embassy in Damascus drew up detailed plans to destabilize and overthrow Syria. Those were widely disseminated to the Pentagon, to various unified commands. They went to NATO. They went widely across the world. The specific plans to destabilize and overthrow Syria, and that was long before any demonstrations had ever occurred in Syria. And yet we claim them as the reason that we oppose President Assad.
Reporting, this has been Sarah Santos, SMNI News.
The foreign minister of Indonesia walked out of the room while Israel's permanent representative to the United Nations was giving a speech regarding an open debate concerning Palestine. Anissa de Guzman has the details.
Indonesian Foreign Affairs Minister Retno Marsudi and other foreign diplomats made a scene as they stepped out of the debate just when Israel's permanent representative to the United Nations, Gilad Erdan, was starting to give a speech. A video circulating online showed Minister Retno along with other Organization of Islamic Cooperation or OIC members walking out at the onset of Eden's speech. In return, the Israeli ambassador was also not present when the Indonesian minister and other OIC members delivered their statement. At the meeting, Retno condemned Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's statement rejecting the existence of a Palestinian state. The incident happened while the UN Security Council held an open debate regarding the Gaza war in New York on Tuesday, local time. The Indonesian minister emphasized that Palestine must be granted full membership in the UN immediately and urged countries to stop the flow of weapons to Israel. Reporting for Newsline World, Anissa de Guzman, SMNI News.
A Japanese novelist whose artwork received the most prestigious literary prize in Japan admitted to using a unique ghostwriter, no other than the ChatGPT, to help her secure the award. Natsumi Kojima has the story.
Rie Kodan, the winner of the prestigious Akutagawa Prize, revealed that part of her novel was written with the help of artificial intelligence. The 33-year-old Japanese author clinched the top literary award for his sci-fi novel, Tokyo Dojoto, which in English translates to Tokyo Sympathy Tower. The novel focuses on high-rise prison tower and a society that depends on AI. Judges reportedly described her novel as practically flawless. In her acceptance speech, Kodan revealed about 5% of her book is written using ChatGPT and said she would like to work with the generative AI in expressing her creativity. Kodan's story came at a time when the use of ChatGPT in schools sparked worldwide debate. Although no specific laws are preventing the use of AI for writing and publishing books, users are warned to consider the potential legal consequences of publishing outputs with the use of the AI chatbot. Ijo, Nihon kara Kojima Natsumi News o tsutai shimashita. SMNI News, Japan.
More news after the break.
Alam mo ba kung ano ang cha-cha o charter change?
Wala po akong idea man kasi hindi ako masyado nag-stay dito sa Pinas.
Wala po kasi ang masyadong information kasi tungkol diyan.
Di po ako masyadong familiar kung paano po siya nag-work pero naririnig ko na po siya.
Wala talagang idea regarding sa charges change.
Hindi ako sure po.
Ang pag-intindi ko sa charter change, pira yan. Ako talaga hindi ko pa lubos talaga na maiintindihan yan.
Wala talaga akong idea kung ano talaga ibig sabihin ng chat-chat talaga.
Kung ano mas nakakabuti, siyempre, yun ang dapat baguhin.
Ikaw lang yung kahulugan ng chat-chat.
Mas maganda kung binabago para mapalitan yung ibang walang kabuluhan.
Charter change, hindi ba yung sa tungkol sa DNR yun?
Yung charter change, yun yung pagbabago ng saligang batas, no? Yung Philippine Constitution ng 1987 ba yan? Oo.
Ano nga ba ang dahilan bakit matunog ang charter change o ang pagbabago ng konstitusyon ng bansa? Ano nga ba ang ibig sabihin nito? Ang cha-cha ay ang legal na proseso para baguhin ang kasalukuyang 1987 Constitution na umiiral sa bansa. Maaaring isagawa ito sa tatlong pamamaraan: ang People's Initiative, Constituent Assembly, at ang Constitutional Convention. Isa-isahin natin ito. Ay ang People's Initiative na sadyang matunog ngayon dahil sa mga kumakalat na isyu tungkol dito. Ang proseso ng pagsasagawa ng People's Initiative ay nakasaad sa Republic Act 6735 o ang Initiative and Referendum Act. Batay dito, ang publiko ay maaaring mag-propose ng mga pagbabago sa konstitusyon sa pamamagitan ng pagkakaroon ng petisyon na pinirmahan ng aabot sa 12% ng kabuang bilang ng mga rehistradong botante. Ang bawat distrito rin ay kinakailangang mairepresenta ng 3% ng rehistradong botante. Mahaba ang prosesong ito at sinasabing magastos dahil sa mga kinakailangang isagawa para makuha ang kinakailangang bilang ng pirma. Dadaan pa rin ito sa verifikasyon ng Commission on Elections o COMELEC. Kung makuha na ang kinakailangang bilang ng pirma at matapos na mailathala ng 2 beses sa mga pahayagan, ang lahat ng botante sa bansa ay magsasagawa ng referendum at magdedesisyon kung aaprubahan ba o hindi ang nasabing pagbabago sa konstitusyon. Kinakailangan ay sumang-ayon ang publiko para maisakatuparan ito. Magiging epektibo ito 15 araw matapos na mailathala sa Official Gazette o pahayagan ng kadalasang binabasa ng publiko o general circulation. Ang Constituent Assembly naman ay binubuo ng lahat ng mga miyembro ng Bicameral Congress ng Pilipinas. Ito ay ang Senado at House of Representatives. Sa ilalim ng Article 17 ng 1987 Constitution, ang mga pagbabago ay aaprubahan sa pamamagitan ng boto ng 3/4 ng lahat ng mga miyembro ng Kongreso. Ang mababa at mataas na kapulungan ng Kongreso ay bumoboto ng magkahiwalay para sa mga pagbabago. Sa Constitutional Convention, ang mamamayan naman ang boboto sa mga uupo para aralin at baguhin ang saligang batas. Mayroon ng 5 Constitutional Convention na ginawa sa bansa. Nariyan ang Malolos Congress, Philippine Constitutional Convention of 1934, Preparatory Committee for Philippine Independence, Philippine Constitutional Convention of 1971, at Philippine Constitutional Commission na itinalaga noong 1986. Sa ilalim ng charter change, maaring ipanukala ang amendment o revision sa saligang batas. Mukhang pareho pero magkaiba ang dalawang ito. Ang amendments ay yung mga pagbabago sa ilang probisyon ng konstitusyon nang hindi iniiba ang istruktura nito, habang ang revision naman ay tumutukoy sa posibleng pagsulat muli ng buong konstitusyon. Yan ay ilan lamang sa mga pangunahing konsepto na dapat nating malaman kaugnay sa pagbabago ng ating konstitusyon. Kaya ano ba sa tingin ninyo ang pinaka-epektibong paraan? At ano rin ba ang gusto ninyong baguhin sa ating saligang batas? Panahon na nga ba upang baguhin ito? Hihintayin po namin ang inyong mga tugon. Patuloy po naming pakikinggan ang inyong mga boses, mga kababayan, dito lamang sa SMNI. Para sa Diyos at sa Pilipinas nating mahal.
Magandang umaga Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao. Maayong buntag mga kapartner. Magandang araw sa buong mundo.
Magandang araw Pilipinas. Ito ang Pulso ng Bayan.
Hihimayin ang mga pangunahing issue sa ating bayan. Susuriin ang mga kinakailangang malaman ng taong bayan. Aalamin ang pulso ng bawat Pilipino sa mga pangyayari sa ating lipunan. Pulso ng Bayan, alas 7 hanggang alas 9 ng umaga, tuwing Lunes hanggang Biyernes. Kasama ang spokes ng Bayan, Attorney Harry Roque, Admar Vilando at Jayne Calabroso. Dito lang sa SMNI. Problema nyo, itawag kay Panelo. Ikaw ba'y may suliranin na may kinalaman sa mga ahensya ng ating pamahalaan? Inihahandog ng SMNI ang programang makakapiling ninyo sa araw-araw na maaring ninyong maging daingan. Tampok ang dating Chief Legal Counsel ng nakaraang Pangulo, ang veteranong abogado na si Attorney Salvador Sal Panelo.
Bishops.
Tulong at payo tagapamagitan sa ating mga lingkod bayan. Problema nyo, itawag kay Panelo. Lunes hanggang Biyernes alas 9 hanggang alas 10 ng umaga. Dito lamang sa SMNI. Ang totoong boses ng bayan.
This Saturday, tuloy-tuloy pa rin ang tapat at totoong serbisyo publiko. Sabay-sabay nating alamin ang kwento ng tagumpay ng isang babaeng kinikilala pagdating sa larangan ng architecture and interior designing. Kilalanin natin ang Pinoy pride na si Architect Maria Angelica Minet Fajardo. Good news din ba ang hanap nyo patungkol sa maritime industry ng Pilipinas? We got you dahil makakasama natin ang dating Executive Director ng STCW Office ng Maritime Industry Authority o Marina, Vice Admiral Rene Medina. Silipin din ang mga panalong trabaho na pwede ninyong applyan. Samahan natin sa paghahatid ng swak na available job opportunities si OFW Party List Chairman Kuya Raymond Adriano. Panoorin din ang pagbuhos ng tulong panghanap buhay sa halos 1,500 tupad beneficiaries mula NCR at Rizal at ang pamimigay ng tulong pinansyal sa halos 700 beneficiaries mula Oriental Mindoro hatid ng inyong OFW Party List. Tayo na't makisaya kasama ang 100 TESDA scholars mula Iloilo at Metro Manila sa kanilang maligayang pagtatapos at ang 100 benepisyaryo mula sa Nueva Ecija, Pasay at Maynila ng Sustainable Livelihood Program handog ni Congresswoman Marisa Del Mar Magsino. Tunghayan din ang mga kaganapan sa pagbisita ni Congresswoman Marisa Del Mar Magsino sa Embahada ng Pilipinas sa Jakarta, Indonesia kasama si Ambassador Gina Hamoralin. Sabay-sabay din nating panoorin ang pag-arangkada ng Passport on Wheels para sa halos 1,000 kababayan natin sa Batangas. At silipin ang pagkilala bilang ambassador ng Sunful Philippine House of Representatives, ang champion ng OFW sa buong mundo, ang nag-iisang OFW Party List Representative, Congresswoman Marisa Del Mar Magsino. Abangan ang lahat ng yan ngayong Sabado, 5 to 6 p.m. Kasama pa rin ang boses at kakampi ng OFWs at bawat Pilipino. OFW Party List Representative, Congresswoman Marisa Del Mar Magsino. Sa OFW, ikaw ang bida. Dito lang sa SMNI.
What are the most pressing issues in the country today? And how have these issues changed the political landscape?
The things that are happening now are completely unexpected. With the latest pronouncement of the President that we will not cooperate with the ICC, will the Speaker again defy the President? Well, what is clear is we're not sure who's really in charge. But you see, they imposed a 30-day preventive suspension without hearing even the side of SMNI.
Right.
What's there to be corrected, for crying out loud?
Learn more from Attorney Harry Roque, former presidential spokesperson under the Duterte administration. Watch Business and Politics with Dante Kling ang II tomorrow at 7 p.m. only here on SMNI.
In the news, the state of Alabama is facing a huge backlash for using nitrogen gas for his first ever execution. Jean Domingo reports.
Free education from nursery to master's degree. In reality,
Alabama carried out its first execution using pure nitrogen gas on Friday. Kenneth Eugene Smith, convicted in a 1988 murder-for-hire case, faced this method after a failed lethal injection attempt in November 2022. Reports say the 58-year-old appeared to shake and convulse at the start before being pronounced dead after at least 2 minutes after breathing the nitrogen gas through a face mask to cause oxygen deprivation. Before dying, Smith's last final statements were, "Tonight, Alabama causes humanity to take a step backwards. I'm leaving with love, peace, and light." Smith was a murder-for-hire convicted of killing Elizabeth Sennett, a preacher's wife, and was paid $1,000. He received a life sentence recommendation from 11 out of 12 jurors. Alabama officials claim that the use of nitrogen gas is at least painful and most humane form of execution. Governor Kay Ivey said that the execution was justice for the killing of Elizabeth Sennett. However, critics, including UN human rights experts, argue that using nitrogen gas may lead to a torturous death or severe injury, branding it as human experimentation. UN Human Rights Chief Volker Turk expressed his deep regrets and raised concerns on the use of nitrogen gas, saying that it is novel and untested. He also said that this form of execution may amount to torture or cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment. The European Union also expressed its regrets on the execution of the convicted murderer. Facing challenges in procuring lethal injection drugs, U.S. states, including Oklahoma and Mississippi, are considering similar nitrogen asphyxiation protocols. The method for Smith's capital punishment marked the first time that a new execution method was used in the U.S. since 1982, when lethal injection was first introduced. Reporting this has been Jayne Domingo, SMNA News.
The scholars of Pastor Apollo C. Kibuloy of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ speak out against the accusations made by fake witnesses presented by Senator Risa Hontiveros. According to them, they are proof that there is no abuse and only pure love for the youth demonstrated through Pastor Apollo's provision of free education. Angel Pastor has the details.
Free education from nursery to master's degree. In reality, the quality education provided by Pastor Apollo C. Kibuloy to the youth members of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ is unparalleled. This is evident in the multitude of professionals who have graduated from various courses, and this also contradicts the baseless claims of Senator Risa Hontiveros' fake witnesses against Pastor Apollo. The scholars themselves, who are beneficiaries of Pastor Apollo's generosity, assert that the testimonies presented by Hontiveros in the Senate are not true.
Ever since, mga kapatid, nag-aral ako sa JMC and si Pastor, nagpaaral, scholar kami. Alam mo yung libre lahat. Libre pagkain, shelter, uniform, libro, tuition. As in, wala kang iisipin kundi pag-aaral mo lang talaga. And alam mo yung bata pa kasi kami, as in hands-on talaga si Pastor sa amin, parang papa talaga. Once nagkamali ka, kukoreksyonan ka, didisiplinahin ka. Kasi sino ba namang papa gusto mapariwara yung buhay mo, di ba?
From kindergarten talaga, Pastor is already the one who gave me the chance, the opportunity and the privilege for an education. Makukuha mo lahat ng needs mo, especially sa education, yun. I've been scholar of the kingdom. Ever since kasi, dahil sa parents ko, member na ng kingdom. So, yun. I'm so grateful na, yun nga, andito si Pastor para tulungan. Kahit hindi full times, kahit member lang yung family mo, Pastor is really willing to help the children.
Yes.
Maging scholar, yun.
Pinaaral ni Pastor, yan, dinamitan ni Pastor. Look how privilege we are here in the kingdom. Ito yung pinapakita namin na totoong nangyayari, mga kapatid.
These scholars claim that Pastor Apollo has brought significant positive changes to their lives since they encountered the benevolent pastor. Maya Kiamko, who is currently under the pastoral care ministry of the congregation, attests to Pastor Apollo's help in reuniting her family and helping her mother cope with the triple jobs to sustain their needs.
My mom had to work triple jobs to sustain the needs of just 2 of her kids that were with her. But in that year, 2005, my mom got that rare privilege to really meet our beloved pastor and to talk to our beloved pastor. And pastor just asked her, yan, kung meron po siyang mga anak. And then my mom said yes. Tapos nun, pastor said, now, would you want them to come here and to be with you? As a mother, my mom really wanted, kasi syempre, she knew or she knows my father that time na grabe talaga. So, without hesitation, pastor then said na, I will help you. Ganon. So, pastor, fast forward, we were reunited with my mom in the same year. And that was the first time as well na nakilala ko din si pastor for the first time personally. I was very young. And my heart that time, parang puno lang ka ng hatred kasi nga sa papa ko. He never stepped in as a father for us. Kasi yung nakikita namin sa kanya, iba talaga. nangyayari sa buhay namin nung bata pa kami. When I met our beloved pastor, that was the first time na I felt the love again.
Not only that, but even the dreams of a child to visit famous theme parks worldwide, such as Hong Kong Disneyland, were fulfilled by Pastor Apollo.
I'm blessed as a growing up, I was part of the Batang Kaharian. It's a kiddie show sa Kingdom dati. And I was privileged enough to be part of those 15 kids na dinala ni Pastor sa Hong Kong, praise the Father. And we were allowed to go to the Disneyland and then to Ocean Park, Victoria Peak. Pinalibot sa amin yung Hong Kong that time. And there, you know, we were so happy. The joy is evident talaga. Up until now, even if i-reminisce namin yung experience namin sa Hong Kong, we will always smile and then we will always, you know, feel the joy of growing up, and we're given this opportunity to grow up with this kind of environment.
So we were given the privilege to go to the different parts of the world. Actually, ako personally, as a pastoral, for almost, I think, 13 years or 14 years na naging pastoral ako, I had the most privileged life that I can really say na parang grabe talaga yung blessing na binigay ng Ama sa akin.
Praise the Father. And as you can see there, hindi naman kami like parang yung mga pinagsasabi nila na abused or what.
The scholars express deep gratitude for the direction their lives took upon entering the congregation. It's not just about free education, food and shelter provided by Pastor Apollo, but also his compassion, guidance, and love of a true family.
Yun talaga pinaka number one na thankful ako is bata pa lang ako, nandun ako sa Kingdom, and most especially na lumaki ako sa Kingdom, being taught sa values na laging tinuturo ni Pastor, and also grabe talaga yung buhay ko, as in yung I mean, hindi ko ma-imagine yung buhay ko na wala ako sa Kingdom, kasi nakikita ko sa mga kapatid ko na alam mo yun na at the early age yung buhay nila is napaka as in ang gulo, but ako nagpasalamat ako kasi
Iyak na yan. Baby, yung tissue.
Kasi binigyan ni Pastor ng yung buhay ko na purpose, na direction. Alam mo, parang kung nasa labas ko, siguro hindi ako hindi ko kakayanin na mabuhay sa labas.
The scholars were also deeply dismayed by the fake witnesses of Senator Ontiveros. Despite the kindness shown to them by Pastor Apollo, these witnesses choose to retaliate in such a manner. They hope that these fake witnesses will reflect on their actions. For God and my beloved Philippines, Angel Pastor, SMNI News.
And before we end, may you be inspired with the message of the appointed Son of God. As long as you are sincere in seeking for salvation, the Father will not lead you astray. And that's all for this edition. For more updates, you may visit smninewschannel.com or follow us on our official social media accounts on Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Thank you for watching, and we thank our beloved Pastor Apollo ACQ, for the opportunity to be a part of this program. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, I'm Jayne Codnita, and this is Newsline World.
Subscribe to SMNI News Channel and turn on the notification bell to keep you up to date. Also visit our official social media accounts and join our community on Viber and Telegram.